Have you ever heard of different civilizations that may not be as well known as some other ones?
It's interesting you ask this because we had a little discussion about this last week, very minute, about other human civilizations. And are there any extinct ones or is there any small ones? Juno Rhino talk. And I'm aware of one that lives on an island. Well, now I'm aware of two because we've just been looking into it.
Yes.
I know there's one that lives on an island somewhere and it's protected by the government. I think it's in I want to say it's in the Philippines, but I can't quite remember. And they're very sort of spear throwing, fishing people. But they were the only ones I was aware of prior to this week.
Yeah. So then this week we stumbled across this civilization that was recently discovered, and we will be discussing it. So in that case, let's get ready to mumble.
Yeah, okay, so tell us about the civilization.
So
this population, I don't know if it's can you call it a civilization? It's so small.
I'm not sure.
I don't know what the terminology would be. I guess tribe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Tribe works.
Yeah. Tribe's probably more direct than civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So recently we stumbled across this information about this civilization, tribe, whatever you want to call it, called Lepra Sloof. And there's not much information out there, but
almost nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to find it.
We've done as much research as possible, and we're going to introduce it to you guys.
Yes, we will. So when were they found? And how, actually? How is quite interesting, because it couldn't happen until nowadays, really.
Yeah, it's very technological. So they were found in 2004 through Google Maps.
Yeah, so how through Google Maps? What was in... So, you didn't just type it in.
Yeah, so I guess when they were doing all the pictures, the different Google Map pictures, and setting to where they can upload it to the actual Google Maps, pictures were taken of an area.
Pictures.
Yeah, the satellite pictures of an area, and they discovered this tribe civilization thing. Yeah,
so what we've read is that basically there was a guy, Dr S Finch, who I don't know, maybe I think it must be an anthropologist or something, and he was just randomly looking on Google, on Amazon, on the satellites, and he was just, I don't know if he was particularly looking out for, he must have been looking for something like this. And looking down, he just came across, I think he obviously pointed out a couple of places in a certain area which he thought was highly dense forest that people are inhabitable, or so he thought. And there was a slight clearing which piqued his interest along with other ones around that same area. And following a little bit of investment from whichever university it was that he worked at, I can't remember, he got a helicopter and did an initial pass through of this area, in which one of the points he pointed out was very I don't know, it showed greater potential for this. I don't know if he saw buildings or it had noise or something was intrigued his interest, and then following that he set out an expedition to get close to that place, to travel to it, which wasn't easy apparently. Yeah. So him and 2 or 3 other people and a semi-local person ended up going on, it was about a 2-week hike, I think it said. I don't know if it was 2 weeks including the time he spent with the tribe or in total, but to get to this part of the Amazon, he'd been done this before after looking through various tribes through his anthropology career, and he eventually got to this tribe, which was fascinating to him. Yeah, so during his 2-week expedition, him and a couple of people he travelled with eventually got to this area, and they witnessed this tribe. Now I think it was they didn't initially want to invade, but I think it was very difficult. The tribe were very aware of their surroundings, and as they got close, they were very much found pretty quickly. So they ended up, but surprisingly, the tribe apparently were very welcoming, and not in a sort of, oh hey, come and have some pizza. It was sort of we realise you're an outsider, but you're welcome to stay here. We know how dangerous the jungle is, essentially. So I won't say they invited him in, but he suggests that they led him towards the village, I guess you would call it, and let him take shelter, I guess, and food. Yeah. Now, population-wise, he said the village wasn't much more than maybe 200 people, which doesn't seem much, but I guess that's... I know. Actually, oddly enough, through CrossFit, I've heard of a phrase saying that a tribe between like 200 and 300 people is a very successful, can be very successful, and that's like the optimum kind of range for a close-knit tribe. So actually, it kind of works, I guess. I guess it's not fake news. Yeah. So, what else do you remember? You've read up about it.
So they don't really have any. Well, they don't have any communication or contact with outside tribes. They're completely, sustaining on their own. They're like, there's no imports, nothing like that. But they also there's no war or fighting amongst other tribes. They just keep to themselves. Very personal.
Yeah. It's interesting because you wonder, I'm assuming there isn't, with no war, you probably don't have to worry about fighting. You might have to fight off, I don't know, maybe predators. I don't know how many predators there are, Vietnam's and pumas or something. But I suppose that you're probably very good hunters and scavengers. I think you said that they eat primarily berries and bugs and occasional sort of rodents.
Yeah, one of their delicacies is the naked mole rat.
Oh, well, there you go. So that's a delicacy. Must mean it must be quite rare, so maybe not as much rodents as possible. But you said they didn't look malnourished or anything. They looked like they were very sort of strong. So it's obviously either the body's adapted or they're very good scavengers and managed to keep fed. He obviously had a lot of his own food, but he couldn't refuse the naked mole rat. If it's a delicacy anyway. So he said that a few fascinating. So some things with them were very typical for lost tribes or lost populations, but one which wasn't is they had no clear language. He said they didn't actually communicate through sound, which is weird because a lot of people do. They mainly communicated through clicks. I know it sounds stupid. Clicks, sign language, and then dance.
Yes.
And it's they didn't when they were dancing, they would make hums and ums to create the music to dance to, along with drums, which is crazy that every tribe seems to have drums. It's just almost for some reason humans create drums.
Yes.
But drums, hums and haws, and then dancing, and then the rest of it was sign language and clicks. I think clicks were attention, or maybe clicks were because there wasn't many other animals that could create that same noise, so it couldn't get lost within the foliage and stuff. I don't know.
It's very easy to discern it's another person from your tribe, making that click.
Well, that's true. But he didn't spend much time with it, and he's not a linguist. And he couldn't discern the clicks. But he said it was really interesting because someone would click, and then someone would turn around and look directly at that person, even if there's a group of them. So it's almost like they could determine who was clicking as well, which is even more impressive.
Like a personalized click.
But I guess if that's all you do, you would pick up someone else's click, I guess.
It's like a voice. It's like
impressive.
Hearing, in a group of people, hearing your friend's voice and knowing, that's whoever.
Yeah. So it was weird. He said he went a lot of the time, those 2 weeks, being very quiet, not speaking. Because he didn't want to, I don't know, not confuse them, but he didn't want to sort of shock them with how the tone and the different variation his voice was. You know? So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, especially with no outsider knowledge, basically. No technology, technology and anything to connect them to the outside world. It'd be very strange to hear this booming human voice. Yeah, very much so. He said that they were very interested in not even so much his clothes, but sort of the different things that he had in his backpack. Even simple things like
paper, pens. They don't have to, but they have like fingers in the sand type thing. They have a little bit of decoration through coloured stones and coloured dyes, but nothing major. They didn't wear clothes as such. And so it wasn't so much the things that he had on, like physically on him, more than the things that he had
with him
that weren't. They couldn't decipher a real reason why he had clothes were obvious to them. They were on him, but things like I can't even think of what it was he had on him. But they were like, "Why do you have this phone thing? What is this brick thing that looks silver and metallic?"
Or like a camera.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. So he didn't spend too much time there, so it's really hard. But what was you said something about the how they looked. You want to describe some of how they looked?
Yes. So he didn't give many descriptions, but he said that their feet were very, like that was like the big thing that he described that they're very big feet, like almost hobbit-like feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were short to kind of go with it. I don't know if that was. I don't know. It was just short because they're all short, and that just happens to be the way with like longer arms. But I don't know.
Yeah. And then for decoration wise, they all have their belly buttons pierced, and they all have their nose pierced, and then they have this chain that connects the belly button piercing to the nose piercing, and the length of the chain is dependent on the age of the person. So like they all look about the same age. They all look around like mid-30s. Like after they come out of the baby stage, obviously, but then they have this chain to discern the age of them and the length of the.
So the longer the chain,
the older they are.
And it wasn't obviously metal; it was like wood that somehow they'd bent into length. So it wasn't heavy, but it was like it looked like a chain, but not metallic, I guess. Because they didn't have metal. He said they were just they had like spears or like wooden and stone utensils similar to Stone Age, because they had no access to metals, which is even more strange. Yeah. Well, not strange. It just seems so. How was in 2004 or now? I'm assuming they're still about that they've not got metal.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And they said he said they didn't have so much of or didn't appear to have much of a religion. They were very sort of. They were just into survival. They were just like they go out, hunt, come back, have a wee dance, and sort of just get on with it, which was strange. And that they all had. He referred to it as pet snakes, but I don't know if it actually means like, oh, this is my pet Frank the snake, because he said that they, at one point, were using the snake's venom almost as a high.
Yeah.
So like they would let the snake bite them, and then the snake would go away, or like they drop the snake off, and they just sort of sit there in a sort of weird sort of haze, or not a haze. What do you call it? I don't know, just like a high, just sitting there, sort of all happy and stuff. And he said like they could build up a tolerance, and I don't know. He said obviously he did try it, although he offered. Because he had no idea what the type of snake was.
But, and he wouldn't have the tolerance to it that they had.
That's so funny that people will find highs everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, it's another like mushrooms or frogs, flowers, whatever it is, people want high.
Yep.
So people want that experience. It's so crazy. And then the government decided to ban it all because, a lot of it's dangerous, of course, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
And you find what is your potential. But I wonder how do you build up a tolerance? It's like, I don't know, I suppose you must give the kids it at some point. Maybe that's, instead of a wee nip of whiskey, it's a wee bite from a snake.
Yeah. Or maybe they get the venom out somehow in the beginning and like give it to them that way. So it's like controlled, like how much because I don't know if a snake can control how much venom it releases. So like a controlled dosage to say of the venom to start with as a kid, and then they just start working up to where by the time that it's like an actual bite, it's like this is nothing. This is just my normal high dose.
Yeah. Or even like maybe even more deep. Maybe it's been doing it for so many generations. Is like it's kind of passed through the children, or like through the mother's milk or something. Like because if it was passed through the mother's milk, then they could build up small amount tolerances type thing. It's like a mum, being on heroin and the kid being addicted to heroin, Potentially, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it could be. So weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he knows much more about the Leproslu.
Yeah.
Leproslu. But yeah, it would be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't spend too much. So yeah, at the time that's how much he had. He didn't take photographs, which is strange. But there are some pictures online, so maybe he must have taken photographs of the pictures online of them.
Yeah.
So you can have a wee Google, guys, if you want to have a look. And see, but it's very interesting. It's so when he left them, and they didn't seem bothered by him leaving. They were just like, okay, someone's gone. So I don't know if he was actually the first people that I've seen them, but he's definitely one of the first Westerners to have taken photographs and recorded information. And when he left, he decided, I don't know if it was his anthropologist in him, or if he was selfish, or if he just didn't want them to change their ways, but he decided not to disclose the location, which is really interesting, and I think very noble of him. Because I think there's a couple of tribes like this which have been exposed and they've never quite been the same. He made sure him and his crew took everything back with them which they brought, and they give him like a knife, and he left them to it. And I don't know if he's maybe got more information which he'll release gradually, or if he's still working on. I think it's too long ago for him still to be working on stuff.
I wonder if he's ever been back, or if he ever will go back.
Yeah, because the article we saw was from like late 2000, like I don't know, 2008 or something. I'm not sure. So it was a couple of years after he initially discovered it. But it's 10 years ago now, so he might have gone back.
Yeah.
I wonder if he. Yeah. But I wonder if they remember. Well, I suppose they should remember him, I guess. Yeah. Would you ever want to go if he came up to you and said, "Hey, you want to come and see this civilization I've discovered"?
I'd go visit. Yeah.
It's been discovered. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to stay very long, and I'd want to take my own food, but sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bugs, so I don't want to go traveling in Amazon. But just to be one of the few people in the world who have met people like this civilization or this tribe that have just are so cordoned off, so like not there. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah,
it's very interesting. I wish there was more information on it, but I mean, I understand his like reservations in it. It's cool to know that there are tribes like that are just people don't know about, really. Like if it wasn't for him, nobody would.
Yeah, exactly. I bet, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Now I know. Is that good? I don't know. And now they're aware of what people are like outside. It's strange. Yeah. But to round up, so it's the you have to pronounce this Leproslu.
Leproslu.
Primitive, only speak through clicks and sign language with some dance. Eat bugs, berries, rodents apparently with the naked mole rat. Use snake venom as a high and sort of keep them as pets as such. The bigger snake for the older people. The bigger the better. They've got big feet like Hobbit.
Very short.
But other than that, look very similar to Amazon tribes. And very short, yeah. They'll have the belly button pierced, including the men, with a link from their belly button to their nose.
Depending on age, yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
And it was Dr S Finch.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add?
No, I think this is about all this.
Well, short episode. That's all the information we have. Don't know if we have much more. As again, check Google, guys, for your pictures. If you want to have a wee look at their nose rings. Or see if you can figure out anything more we've missed out about them. But short episode today. But we'll maybe try and get another one out later in the week. Who knows? But yeah. Anything? No, good. Well, I'm Liam.
I'm Kayla.
And this has been MumbleCast.
Bye.
Bye. Nailed it.